give us a hype reel of what's
man.
going to happen on the Texas 8.
Yeah, so I mean, number one, you're going to be at the very first one ever, right? Like we have plans for this to be a yearly event, and we want it to be the tournament, right? We want guys to be disappointed when they're not picked. We want people competing to get into this thing. And we have a very young and hungry field that's going to go out there and just kill it. To number one, they're excited for the tournament, right? A lot of these guys are super honored and super excited to be part of this tournament. And they want to get their name out there. So they're going to go out there and kill it against each other, trying to get your attention, trying to get noticed. And if you've never seen Texas wrestling, it's going to be a great chance to get just a feel for the entire state in one foul swoop.
This is a special event that's been building up steam when it was announced at Empire Control Room here in Austin a couple weeks back. New Texas Pro will have their Texas 8, which is like the state tournament for all of the wrestlers who are representing of all the cities that are mentioned here in Texas. This is a really big event too, and what better way to start this series than to have a wrestling icon, legend, promoter. We'll throw in ring up crew. We have Biss here on the podcast. How are you?
I'm good. I struggle with some of those words attached to my name, but I appreciate it. I'm blushing. I'm truly blushing.
Thank you so much. No, and you've done a lot already in the Texas wrestling scene for quite some time, so gotta give you your flowers once in a blue moon. So the Texas 8 has been kind of an interesting event happening, and it all starts up with the show on Sunday at Empire Control Room a few weeks back with New Texas, and having New Texas plant a flag in Austin. Where did that come from, and where did it build up leading up to that show on Sunday?
Man, this is a crazy topic. You were stumbling into somewhat I think will be just some Texas wrestling lore at some point. Right. Let's just dive right into it. So, Inspire in its form that it was at the end of 2024 was not sustaining. So it was at a point where changes had to be made. So like there was a very real chance that Inspire could have ended at the end of 2024. And I feel weird starting with Inspire, but that's really where the story starts, right? Some people, I don't know if they want to be publicly acknowledged, so I won't at this time, but some people stepped in to make sure that Inspire continued on. Okay. My plan after Inspire was to work with New Texas, right?
Okay.
So when all of that went down, I reached out to Kiefer about taking on responsibility for helping to bring New Texas into Central Texas and helping to kind of shoulder the burden that would come with that. So that's really where February 23rd kind of all comes to a head, right? Was kind of looking at the changes that needed to be made to make wrestling sustainable in that arena. And that was a combination of the ideas that I brought to the table. And then the cool thing with New Texas is I think when you hear New Texas, you think of Kiefer. Now I think people are starting to think of me, but there's a giant team behind New Texas, right? And when you have an idea like that, it gets bounced off and filtered through a lot of different great minds to kind of like come up with the final product, right? But that was a chance for me to really show a pure version of what my idea of professional wrestling was, right? And it was really supported by the New Texas team. It was really supported by Kiefer. It was really supported by, the other members of that team. I don't know if they want to be mentioned publicly. So again, I'll let them be in the background for now. But that was really cool. And Austin is the capital of Texas. So, Kiefer from the start was like, it makes sense that we really put a lot of effort and emphasis on Austin as the capital of Texas wrestling as well, just because of tradition and history, Houston's always going to have a special place for New Texas. Lone Star every December is going to be the marquee event, and it's going to happen in Houston. But there's a lot of cool stuff we can do in Austin. That's cool wrestling, and then hopefully encourage fans to travel, right, and to see both. So that's really kind of the whole story of how we got to February 23rd in Empire, right, with New Texas in Austin.
What's interesting, and this is the promo kind of made me smile a little bit. The ending of that promo, we will end this show at 9 sharp, and that's, I guess, like from a show standpoint too. I did take a photo of when Carter Black got over. That was 8:47 at
Yes, it
that
was.
time.
Yes, it was.
It's crazy, but to have this tightly run ship, how is that 9 o'clock end time be such an important aspect on the show on February 23rd?
So I don't want to say everybody, but the number one complaint that we had about shows, and it wasn't just Austin, it was across the board. Everyone gets this complaint is, guys, they're so long, you know? I'm worn out by the end of them, right? And then we would kind of watch the crowds. About 9:30 was as far as you could push a crowd, and then they were forcing themselves to pop. They were, and that's your main event. So you've got your main event out there, and your main event is the one that's pulling and begging for these reactions. And it just wasn't, to me, it wasn't fair to the people in those main event spots that worked their asses off to get there. And it's you're constantly as a promoter asking yourself, what can I control? What do I have control over? And, the timing of a show and how it's run is something that you can control. So by saying that out loud, it kind of put that pressure on me to make sure I couldn't acquiesce. I had to make sure that we stayed on top of it. And then just really appreciate how well oiled the New Texas machine is to be able to make something like that happen.
How much of that is accountability? Because that 9 o'clock show is going to be there. You kind of planted your stake on that. How has accountability become such a big aspect to having those early times?
It's a huge thing, but it's also the talent taking it seriously, and the talent believing in it as well, right? Because the talent can go an extra 5, 6, 7 minutes, right? And it's independent wrestling. There's not a whole lot I can do to punish. I don't employ these people. I don't have them under contract, right? It's the honor system, right? And it's them buying in and being like, no, we're going to do this thing. So that's, that's a big part of it too. And, did that answer I feel like I lost track of your original question. Did that?
No, I think
answer?
You kind of showed it's not just like how you do things as a promoter, but you're bringing out the talent in them, because now you're saying it's 9 o'clock, we'll end it. The talent will take notice of, okay, what can we do to make sure the match time isn't long, it doesn't drag as it should be, because it's a little bit of what you're doing of saying it's a big megaphone.
Yeah.
To not only us, but the viewer, but the talent who's like, okay, let's get it done.
And I think too, it's important to mention the tailgate, because the tailgate's a huge part of that. So the tailgate allows us to kind of take those extra matches and put them on early that may not have an impact on the overall story of the company, but like a Jesse Funaki and
a Casey
Blackrose, right? That match is an amazing match between two up and comers, right? It doesn't have a huge impact on the overall story of the company, but you get to see those two go at it. If you only want the meat and potatoes story of the company, you can show up right at 6 o'clock and then stay till hopefully just before 9, right? And you'll get the meat and potatoes of the story. But if you do want a little bit extra, if you do want a little bit more, you don't mind sitting in that seat for an extra hour, we're going to give you great wrestling with young up and coming guys in that tailgate as well. So you get to choose your own adventure, kind of like day of how much of New Texas Pro do you want? We're going to satisfy whatever your hunger is that day. You're going to get what you need.
Right. So let's delve into it. We have 4 of the guys that are here, and let's cover our home base in Austin.
Yeah.
Ethan Hunter, I'm glad to have him as a guest. It made a lot of difference on how he's doing things in his career. Having Ethan as the representative of Austin, how has he become representative of what Austin wrestling is?
So, and I like that you use that word representative, right? Because when picking this field, we really tried to get people that did kind of have the vibes of each area. And if you parachuted in, you'd never seen Texas wrestling, you would get a feel for what's going on in each area.
Right.
And Ethan's really blown up in the last like 2 months.
Oh yes,
right,
absolutely.
So he's really been a dynamo, right? So he had a fairly good 2024, but his 2025 so far has been really good. He was in the 4-way, right, with a lot of his peers, Travis Cuddy, Houston Hendricks, and really excelled there. And then he picked up the Bracho Pro straight shooter title as well. And so obviously we gave him the spot, and that was before the Robert Martyr match. But then he just had that incredible match with Robert Martyr as well. So his arrow is really, really pointing up. And Austin was one of the hardest areas to pick because you have a lot of really young, talented guys, whether it's a Houston Hendricks or a Travis Cuddy. And then, also, we were late in the game getting on board with the road school. There's a lot of super talented guys over at the road school that could represent Austin as well. So, it was a close race, but, it's kind of crazy that now that we picked him, he's really even just excelling even more, right?
Right.
And then, I talked with Travis Cuddy and Houston Hendricks, and I was like, look, I want you guys to be disappointed. I want to have to break somebody's heart next year when I have to pick this thing again, right? So you guys, keep at it. You saw Travis Cuddy in that trios match at Baracho. He is an incredible athlete, and I'm sure he's nipping at the heels of Ethan Hunter for next year. And Houston Hendricks, he got started. He was a young prodigy, and he's not going to just lay down, and then we can get into, all the other guys that are going to come along from Austin. I'm looking a year out from this and just how crazy the competition is going to be for these spots.
Because I'm kind of fascinated because part of the decision making is how much they've done in the ring. And I've had Travis on, I've had Houston on, they're just as close to get that spot. Do you think with the ones who are not chosen, is there a lot of hard work for them to really push to that level to being part of Austin if there is a T82 coming next year?
Oh, there will be. I'm bad about putting pressure on myself by making statements, but there absolutely will be there'll be multiple Texas 8s. And we may have to find a way to regionally find these people, right? It may not be fair just for us to pick who we think represents. That may be where this thing leads to, right? At least some of these regions, like regional tournaments almost. Because we're going to talk about it later on in the show as well. There's certain areas where there's a lot of young up and coming guys all in the same area.
Yeah. So moving to that, we're going to go up north in the DFW area. Exodus Prime is already big, and he's blowing up and he's one of the guys who I think are going to, which I'm surprised he never got signed, but to have Exodus in the Dallas Fort Worth area, was it a hard choice with much like what's happening in Austin, or was there something otherwise that kind of led for X to be in the T8?
Yeah, Exodus for me was a very easy choice. Exodus to me is the guy that has really kind of head and shoulders above in the Dallas area. I'm gonna go there. It was kind of between Dallas, for Dallas, it was kind of between Exodus Prime and Barrett Brown. And that may upset some other people to hear just those two names, but like the issue with Barrett Brown is Barrett Brown never travels. Barrett Brown wrestles sporadically in Dallas, and then will travel out to the West Coast to do whatever's going on with the dojo, or he'll do something with the NWA, or he'll be an extra talent, but like on the Texas indie scene, the shows that he's on are just not the same profile as Exodus. So Exodus was kind of an easy choice. And like Kari Wright is somebody that would have been in the mix, but was injured towards the end of the year for 2024. I think Demo Diamond's an incredible athlete, but I just think Exodus is a little bit ahead. And I mean, a dark horse is Levi Lucas, who I think is incredibly talented from the Dallas area. Christian Mox is up there doing incredible things as well. But I just think overall statewide, you don't get any better than Exodus Prime.
Yeah, and he's been all over the place. I mean, besides Texas, he's done some work with ROH and the bigger promotions, but the way that X has been doing, thank goodness he's been in Austin a lot too, especially with Inspire, during his Twin Dragon connections, and even in Baracho when he went heel at the Cookout last year. Like, he's been all over the place, and seeing how frequent of a traveler X is, and like Levi Lucas and Kari, right? Like I've met them just on the side and seeing how they're doing things, but X just has that little edge of how much he's done in the Texas wrestling scene to be in the T8.
Yeah, let me break it down this way too. Like, when you talk about Exodus Prime, you're in the same conversation as guys that were not technically eligible to be picked for this tournament, right?
Right.
As the best in the state. Stephen Wolf is in Europe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brick Savage is involved in a tag team with Dmitry Alexandrov and was slotted for that. And then Carter Black has the New Texas title, who the winner of this whole tournament is going to get a shot at. You have to have X's in the conversation of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Those other four, like, as the top in Texas, right? So, like, if he's in the conversation for the top in Texas, how is he not the top in Dallas? He has to be,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I want to make sure that it's known that I do respect the level of talent in Dallas, but I think for us, it was an easy pick to pick Exodus for Dallas still. Right.
And we're going to go south, and let's go with Epi, because Epi has been such a unicorn when it comes to the indies. And besides Inspire, besides GCWA, a bit of United and a bit of Inspire, Epi has been, and I guess for me, because I am a transplant, like, how is the Rio Grande Valley? Because I'm sure there's a big crop of talent in that area, because I'm not familiar with that area. Where did it lead to Epi doing the Rio Grande Valley area during the T8?
Yeah, so he's very proud of the Laredo wrestling scene. He's from Laredo. That's the same scene that gave us Roxy, right?
Right.
But I mean, don't believe what the commentators on NXT tell you. She is originally from the Laredo scene, right? A brief stop there. Not to mention also a former New Texas women's champion, right? Incredibly proud of that area. It's much more lucha, so it's a lot more guys going down south than coming north. Decimus is also from that area, so you saw him at Baracho. I think every time Decimus is at Baracho, he shows out. So you kind of see that, but it's a very strong lucha tradition down there. So you see Epydemius Junior is the one that's kind of coming up to Baracho, coming up to Inspired, coming up to United, and really kind of branching out the different styles, right? So Epi Junior is another one that's in that, he may not be that top 5, but I think he's a strong number 6 of the best in the state. So being that high on that list, once you get into just focusing on the Valley, he kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, and there's no choice but to pick him for that.
Because I was thinking, because with the lucha background that Epi has and his experience, I would say it's complementary to what Texas wrestling is. How has that style of wrestling complement to the other guys, and we'll throw in the fourth one later on. Like, how has lucha complement to what Texas wrestling is all about coming into the T8?
Well, I mean, especially when you talk about the Blanchard territory in the Southwest, I think, the Lucha Libre, especially heavyweight Lucha Libre, which is a little different style than what people think of like what was on WCW for Nitro and that, the more high-flying welterweight style, was big in the Texas territories, a lot of those guys came up and made a lot of money and made a lot of talents up in Texas as well. So it's always been at the root of what Texas independent wrestling is. And now every once in a while it like hides back in its cubby holes of El Paso and Laredo, right? And then also down in, quite literally the Rio Grande Valley, over in, far in that area down there. But like, it's always kind of there, just waiting to pop back up. You're just waiting for those guys that will come up north and mix it up. And whenever they do, it's always an addition to the card, right? It's always just that little something special. And then the more that you see those guys, the more that those crowds kind of get used to the lucha tradition and what lucha is really all about, right? Yeah, I think sometimes we have an idea of what lucha is until you see it right there in front of you, right? So it's always kind of living there, just ready to sneak up. And then, I think Epi and just how he kind of transcends that has really kind of pulled it back up. And hopefully, you'll see guys like Decimus and those guys start to follow him up, further north, and we'll see more of that lucha influence.
And Epi blazes the trail too, because I spoke to him in an Inspire show, like probably a couple years ago. Now I'm still I was still a fan. I'm on fan mode when that happens, and I spoke to him during intermission, and I told him this is like my first experience in Lucha Libre because I mean it's Rey Mysterio, I mean like Eddie Guerrero, but to see someone in person, to see the lucha tradition being alive here in Texas, that was my first time like interacting to see like how Lucha Libre is. And I wind up like looking at other lucha promotions and see how they're doing things, how makes it unique, but at the same time leading back to what Texas wrestling is all about through Lucha Libre.
Yeah, and like I came up in San Antonio, so like I remember going to a Tejano festival because Mil Mascaras was there, right?
Wow.
And like watching that show and being like, okay, this is not for me, but what this is really cool. Like the people that this is for is really cool. Like I was not jumping out of my seat for Mil Mascaras, especially because he was like 80 years old at the time. I think he was legit. I think he was legit. Different time. I think he was legit like 79 at the time.
Wow.
But like, it was really cool to see people see Mil Mascaras who Mil Mascaras really meant something to,
Right.
So you love to see it kept alive.
Exactly. And the last guy this one's a very, because his episode is out recently, and representing the south side of San Antonio, Casey Blackrose has been like he broke out just as much. This may be a hot take. Let's just see how that goes. But Casey has had that similar trajectory that Ethan Hunter has in terms of what he's done in the San Antonio scene. And I mean, he has 3 titles already on his belt with United, with Hybrid, and with RCW. Was this an easy pick for him to be the San Antonio representative of the T8?
I'm going to upset some very talented people like Devin Carter, who is an absolute superstar. And everything that they do, they are a superstar and through and through. I'm going to upset somebody like Jesse Funaki, who's going to have an amazing 2025, and we'll probably be talking about for a long time. And I'm probably missing some incredibly talented people in San Antonio, but for us, no one represented the spirit, the fighting spirit of San Antonio like Casey Blackrose. It had to be Casey. The very first independent wrestling show I ever went to was an RCW show, like in San Antonio. I got my break into independent wrestling in San Antonio, and you know, for him to have the type of year that he's had for RCW, to kind of be the flag bearer for his school at Hybrid and be the champion there, and then to really kind of grow up and like to take that ball and run with it at United 210. There's nobody that really just really represented their area as much as Casey. The one that comes the closest, and I'll just do a little tease for it, maybe Jay Davis in Houston, and we'll let next week that get covered, or tomorrow that get covered. But like Casey just represented San Antonio, what San Antonio wrestling is about so much. It was a no-brainer pick for us.
Right. And we're close to wrapping up. This is a very short episode, and you can tell the trajectory. We were heading north, we're heading south again, and all roads lead to Austin. And Biss, you have the floor. Give us a hype reel of what's going to happen on the Texas 8.
Yeah, so I mean, number one, you're going to be at the very first one ever, right? Like we have plans for this to be a yearly event, and we want it to be the tournament, right? We want guys to be disappointed when they're not picked. We want people competing to get into this thing. And we have a very young and hungry field that's going to go out there and just kill it. To number one, they're excited for the tournament, right? A lot of these guys are super honored and super excited to be part of this tournament. And they want to get their name out there. So they're going to go out there and kill it against each other, trying to get your attention, trying to get noticed. And if you've never seen Texas wrestling, it's going to be a great chance to get just a feel for the entire state in one foul swoop. And then, like, we haven't even gotten to the non-tournament matches yet. Like, these non-tournament matches are insane, guys. Like, like we haven't even got there yet. Like, so, you know, and by the time this comes out, those matches will be announced. So you guys will know. You'll be like, why is he being coy? But yeah, at this recording, they're not announced yet. So, but yeah, there's used to, I'm sure this will be announced by then. So I'm going to say, if not, you guys are getting exclusive on this show. So like, Starboy Charlie versus Carter Black for the new Texas Pro title is going to happen that night. And I just popped the shit out of the manual. Like, that's going to be huge. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be insane. It's going to be a big night.
So with the episode, the Texas 8 tournament will be held at the Empire Control Room and Garage, where all Austin wrestling is funneling through.
The Mecca Center.
There you go, exactly. So it'll be on April 6th. I'll provide the tickets on the show notes, and follow New Texas, follow Biss, follow Kiefer, follow all the participants who are in this tournament. And this is going to be a very interesting season here in 2025 in Texas wrestling.
Austin wrestling is on fire. Keep the ball rolling. We all eat in Austin. Come on out, support everybody in Austin.
All right. So tomorrow we'll go over to another guy who's here, and we'll see Kiefer Bartek's side of the Texas 8 and the remaining 4 participants. And like I said, ticket information will be on the show notes, or if you follow them, follow all of the people who are mentioned here, from New Texas to Biss, all the way to the 4 participants who are going to be discussed here and the following episode for this podcast. And yeah, it's all done, it's all over, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.